Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm. I'm your host, Andy Bernstein. We are continuing our ongoing Legendary Photographers series with an interview this week with award winning photojournalist Wally Skali. Wally was a staff photographer for the LA Times for 27 years. He covered anything and everything during his time there and now is a freelancer. He and I spent many, many days and nights sharing a baseline or a sideline or a dugout, covering every sports team in LA for decades. Wally was always the measuring stick for all of us, somehow always producing the most amazing photos each and every assignment. As a true photojournalist, Wally also covered every hard news assignment possible: fires, riots, wars, as well as every major award show, including the Oscars, Golden Globes, Emmys, and Grammys. Wally is the second photojournalist in his house that we've had on this podcast. His wife, Christina House, was a guest recently celebrating women photographers on our episode with the great Lori Shepler. Wally and I covered a lot of subjects on this episode, so folks, enjoy this conversation with the great Wally Skali, and as always, I'll see you on the backside. Well, welcome, my good friend, my longtime colleague, Wally Skali, to the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Took a buyout a few months ago and catching up on the house, and I got to catch up on all my old photos. I need to archive, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big task.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into your photo journey in a sec, but while you and I think we go back, what, 30 years at least?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I think I met you at the forum.
Uh-huh. Yeah, at the
When
forum, for
Kobe
sure.
came on to the Lakers, I believe.
That's right.
A few years
Yeah.
ago, that I'm not sure, but
Yeah, we definitely go back to the forum. And I think we've been side by side for, God, Lakers, Kings, Clippers, Dodgers, USC, UCLA football, Rams, Raiders when we had them both in town at the
Olympics.
Coliseum.
Yeah.
Um, Countless other press conferences and all kinds of stuff. It just blows my mind that, you and I have just really literally covered so much LA sports history over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
So Wally, I've known you a long time, my friend, but I
It's not-
don't really know your sort of backstory, like where you grew up. Did you grow up in Southern California?
I did. I was born in Chicago, Aurora, Illinois, just outside
Hmm.
Chicago. Grew up in the South Bay here. Lived in Redondo, Palos Verdes, lived in
Ah,
Toronto. Some South Bay boy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what spurred your interest in photography? When did that all start for you?
My dad would take me to the racetrack, Hollywood Park.
Hmm.
Let me back up. My grandfather was a harness driver in Denmark,
Oh,
and that's where the interest in horse racing came from. So my
uh-huh.
father and my dad would take me to the racetrack, and I don't know, I just started picking up a camera. We started going on vacations to like Grand Canyon and
Hmm.
California, and I just started taking photos. And my grandmother, who lived in Redondo Beach, she lived next to the fire station. And
Hmm.
they go on a call. She ran out to the balcony to see where they're going. There's that excitement in her, like a little adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And I think I picked that up from her because we're born the same day.
Oh, that's
So,
crazy. Wow.
uh, and then, obviously my dad was subscribed to the paper every day, and I would just be interested. And, I got into high school
Hmm.
and, started shooting from the yearbook and the newspaper. And
Hmm.
during lunchtime, I'd go to the library, go read the LA Times, instead of hanging out with my friends.
Right.
It was that type. It was my passion. It
Yeah.
was really wanted to do. So,
And you ended up going, where did you go to college? I
I
forgot.
just went to El Camino. I got
Uh-huh.
the Daily Breeze before I can move on. And
Hmm.
to me, it's like, well, do I continue my education, maybe
Hmm.
at Cal State Long Beach, or do I just get my foot in the door right now? So I foot in the door. Yeah.
So what was the big break then with the LA Times? When did that happen? And how did it happen?
When I was at the Daily Breeze, it was an internship and
Hmm.
freelance, part timer, and then they hired me full time. And then
Hmm.
back in the day, the photo contests were a little more meaningful.
Hmm.
If you win a contest, you get noticed.
Right.
And I started winning some national contests like POI and stuff, and the LA Times caught wind and they wanted to hire me. So
Yeah.
they called me up and says, "Hey, we created a position for you."
Wow.
And I got it.
What year was that, Wally?
It was 97.
Wow. Amazing. So that's when it all started. How big was the LA Times staff in those days when you
When I
joined?
started, there was 66 photographers.
60. Oh
66.
my God. I
We
think
had
this
we had
let's
bureaus, we had bureaus in Ventura, or the Valley,
yeah. Yeah.
Washington D.C. Um,
That's insane.
yeah,
Wow.
um,
Well, we'll get into that in a sec. But Wally, I know this podcast is called the Legends of Sport podcast, and your career, obviously, and my career intersected over sports. But you are a photojournalist by trade. I mean, you have covered. I mean, I have a list here, and it's just unbelievable. 9 Olympic Games, probably every major award show, Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes, Grammys, breaking news, wildfires, at least 5 wars that I know about, right? Kosovo, Afghanistan, Iran, um, Lebanon, and Ukraine. Um, Sometimes I would see you like at a Laker game and I hadn't seen you for a while and you had literally just gotten back from a war zone. I mean, how did you manage that, process that, like mentally?
yeah. It's a skill you learn as you go along. It's
Uh-huh.
something you kind of bury in the back of your head, or
Hmm.
into another zone in your brain. I'm not sure. So far, I'm good. I have no PTSD, or if that's gonna
Mm.
get me in 10 years, I have no idea. But I guess I've learned how to process things and
Right.
departmentalize it,
Yeah.
and every assignment I go to, I switch one off and turn the other one on. Um, you know,
It's really incredible to me that you're able to do that, honestly. I just spent a couple of weeks with Don McCullen, the great Don McCullen. He's like 90 something.
uh,
And he's got PTSD. He admits it. I mean, he's still shell shocked from all the wars that he shot and all the horror that he saw.
yeah,
Wasn't able to sort of
yeah,
put it in a box.
yeah,
Um, Whereas James Knockway, who was also at this conference that I was at in Dubai, was able to do that to an extent. I mean, not totally. So
yeah.
that's a skill, man. Man, I just don't know how you would do it. Honestly, I'd get home from like an NBA Finals game and I'd be a wreck. To me that was like combat sports photography, but
No,
you're talking about the real thing.
that's draining.
Yeah, no kidding. So, Wally, I'm going to ask you a crazy question. I asked this to your wife Christina when she was on the podcast. Your favorite assignment ever. And before you answer that question, I'm going
Uh,
to tell you what my favorite assignment of yours was
okay.
covering Bruce Springsteen, the boss, behind the scenes. I don't know what year that was, but I will eternally be jealous of you for that assignment.
I never get starstruck, but with Bruce Springsteen, to spend some time with him one on one, and I was starstruck. I was nervous.
Yeah, what year was that? What was the context of that?
Oh, that he was coming out. Jeff Boucher was a reporter, if I can recall, and
Hmm.
for I don't know if he was doing just a feature on him or if he had an album coming out. I can't remember,
Right.
but they invited us to go back east and spend a day with him.
Wow. Wow.
And we did. It was
In Jersey, right? Wasn't it in New Jersey?
it was on the
Oh,
shore.
I
He
thought,
had a gig that night. So, and my
yeah.
favorite moment was me and him in the green room, and he's writing a song list. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my
at that
God.
point, I was so nervous. Like, do I ask him questions like, what's in your mind when you make a song list, or do I
Yeah.
just be a fly in the wall? I didn't know what to do. I was so nervous. I've been doing this for years, and I've
Yeah.
never been nervous. But it was fun. He was extremely gracious. Love the portrait I did from right here from the PR person.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Because that's the main goal.
Yeah.
The
You-
subject happy, and but
uh,
now that is definitely, it's either one or two my favorite
mhm.
assignments. My first one will probably be I went up in a Russian MiG with the lead singer of the Offspring.
Holy crap. Really?
Yeah, he's a pilot. He's based here in Long Beach, lives in Long Beach, I guess.
Yeah.
Took us and the reporter Jeff Boucher again to Lake Havasu, where he has a hangar where he has a Russian MiG, got the red star on the wings, and
Okay.
Minute. And he took me up over Lake Havasu, and I mounted a camera in the front, looking back towards him. As
Yeah.
we're taking off and flying through the canyons, and um, that was the ultimate rush. I mean, just the roar of the engines.
Oh my God.
You can smell. It's not gasoline. It's what they use
It's
again.
like crazy jet fuel. Yeah, it's like
Um,
insane.
and we're flying 500 feet above the water, which we're not supposed to do. And he says
Yeah.
there's way no air traffic control here, and
Yeah.
they were like zooming sideways, and we didn't go upside down. I told him I might get sick, so he it
Oh my God, Wally.
was
Did
just the
you
ultimate
did
thrill.
you train for that? I mean, did you do like any of that like G-force training stuff they do?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I kind of knew in a sense, but
Yeah.
he took it easy at first. We kind of eased our way into it, and he started doing some tricks, and then I could start feeling my stomach, you
Oh
know.
my
Um,
God.
and then after 2, 3 minutes, I asked him if he could ease off a little bit just to make sure I don't get sick.
Oh God.
Um, I mean,
What a
it was the power of that jet was just amazing. It was.
what
I
an
know Sam
experience.
Rossing's flying me. He's, a pilot. He has a patent for his hot sauce. I think it sells at Ralph's
Yeah.
grocery stores. He's a really, really smart guy. I went to USC and makes great music. So,
Wow, that's incredible, Wally.
yeah.
What I gotta check out those photos. I don't remember that photo essay that you did from that. That's incredible. Wow. So, Wally, needless to say, I'm preaching to the choir here, but our business of photojournalism has changed, let's just say drastically recently. The photography staffs at probably every major newspaper. I mean, some newspapers have gone under. Some newspapers, like medium-sized papers and small papers, have gotten rid of their photography staff. Major papers like the LA Times, Washington Post, New York Times, whoever, have cut their staffs drastically. You mentioned earlier that you were, I guess, offered, I guess is a nice word to put it, a buyout after what, 27 years, right?
Mhm.
What was that news like? I mean, did you see it coming? Did you, anticipate, plan for it? What was that like?
You can see the writing on the wall. I mean, we had layoffs the past few years,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, and it's just we're just getting decimated. So I knew I had to plan. I was getting a little bit burned out because I covered the Palisades Fire recently.
Right.
That was my most dangerous assignment. I mean, more than the war zones.
Mm.
That turned out to be the most dangerous because the winds were just. I've never ever covered a fire like this with the winds, the wind speed. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Your
fires were
photography was unbelievable. I mean, just mind-blowing. Yeah.
Thank
Incredible.
you. It was just it was really dangerous. There's 2 or 3 instances where I actually got scared. And
Hmm.
usually I don't get scared because I'm fairly knowledgeable. I mean, obviously fire is unpredictable, but you have a good sense of the wind's not blowing too bad, then you have escape routes. And
Yeah.
this one was just, I mean, I was on PCH and I think they call it a fire NATO, and
Hmm. Hmm.
probably 40 feet from my car, and here see this big swirling smoke, and it's starting to come down on PCH, and I
Mm.
start running to my car.
Yeah.
I didn't make it, so I hid behind my car, and the whole
Oh,
thing just went sideways. I mean,
geez.
tree
Wow.
branches, all kinds of debris just went side. The car protected me, thank God, but
Well,
the guy in his car behind me, he just took off and lasted for 10 seconds, but it's really scared me because I don't know what was involved. Is there flames in there? Is there just smoke? I didn't
yeah.
know.
Wow. Unbelievable. Geez. Thinking about staffs getting cut, of course we have to think about all our friends at Sports Illustrated, which
Mhm.
Sports Illustrated, of course, was the gold standard for me. What I wanted to aspire to be one of those guys who had at least a byline, I don't care if the picture was like a postage stamp, to have my my credit in there at some point, much less get, a story and then, God willing, a cover, which actually happened for me in '85. Um, but people like John McDonough, Robert Beck, all our friends who
Mhm.
suddenly like out of work. I mean, these are the masters of the trade, man. I mean, it's just been tough for me to take, honestly, and to
Yeah.
see the advent of what's happening with social media and content groups and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been having a tough time dealing with it. The past year or two, that's probably one of the other reasons why I left. I took the buyout because I just wasn't as happy anymore. I mean,
Hmm.
it's great to go to a Laker game, cover that, or Dodgers, especially this past year with
Sure.
the World Series. But It's just not the same. There's more restrictions, and I just have a feeling of our editors not caring as much.
Mm, mm,
I've been there for
mm.
27 years. I can see the difference.
Yeah.
Or we'd have meetings before the big game or before the Olympics. We'd have a sit down big meeting and plan, and there
Hmm.
was an enthusiasm,
Hmm. Yeah.
and that's gone. That's, just here, go cover the Laker game, or here, go cover that World Series, and
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I can relate. I mean, so you've adapted by, you didn't retire, obviously. I mean, I still see you out there shooting. So you've adapted by freelancing. You're working for various other news outlets. Is that a little bit more liberating? I mean, it's got to be drive you a little crazy financially, from month to month, but you're Wally Scally. I mean, they want the best, they're going to get the best. Um, how do you feel about that life? And yeah, I wanted to get to it later, but we can talk about it now. The famous work-life balance. I mean, you have a 6-year-old at home. Your wife is a full-time photographer. I mean, how are you adapting to that whole new sort of lifestyle, I guess?
I, the first month or two, I was lost. I have all these things on my list I need to do at home, and
Mm,
making a portfolio, website, all
mm,
these things. And I was doing a little bit of each day, but I wasn't really focused. I was not really getting anywhere.
mm,
After 2 months, I'm like, you know what? I need to focus on one thing, and just hit it hard and finish it. And then
mm,
go do the next project rather than try and do a little on each project, which
right.
kind of sent me back. It kind of made me lost a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. I love, I was working nights all the time.
Hmm.
Obviously doing Lakers, Dodgers, all the sports. And I would never see my daughter. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have breakfast with her and take her to school, and I wouldn't see her till the next morning, usually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It got
Yeah.
to be a little bit tough. I can see time's going fast as she's getting a little bit older. I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss this. I've
Hmm.
had a great career. I mean,
Hmm.
if I did it all over again, I would do it. I mean, it's just the things I got to do and see,
Hmm.
and the friends I got to meet,
Hmm.
share the same passion.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
it's just amazing. But it came to a point where, you know what, I got to think about my daughter now, my wife, and I'm gonna let my wife. She can go run that crazy schedule that I had before, where she had to take care of everything.
right.
So now it's her turn.
Yeah, no, I get it. Look, I'm in the same boat. I have 3 kids, two 30s and a 29. I
Mhm.
was not around a lot when they were growing up. I was a single dad when my 2 older ones were very young. It's a crazy lifestyle, man. I mean, we love what we do. It becomes like an obsession, but the hours are nuts and the time away. And I still have one left in the house. She's going to be a senior next year, and
Oh
luckily
well.
I've been able to be around for her. Since I retired off well, I want to say retired. I pivoted off the court because I
Yeah.
say retired. People are like, "Oh, you play golf?" I'm like, "No, I don't play golf. I don't fish. I I still work, obviously, I'm working, but I'm just not working with a camera in my hand.
Yeah. It's hard to give up. And maybe you don't have a camera in your hand, but you're doing something related to it. And
Right,
it's in
right.
our blood. We can never get rid of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm enjoying like mentoring the young generation as part of my role, still with the NBA and doing some appearances now and then for them and also, like I said, mentoring, which is great. I love seeing the young photographers come up, kind of give them a dose of reality as to like what we went through with manual cameras and film and having to develop stuff and you more than anybody knows the pressure of that of having to produce a photo on deadline. I mean,
Oh,
I can't even imagine how you could have done that for so many years. I'd see you. You'd be there shooting the first quarter, then
mhm.
race to the back, process the film, whatever it was. Crazy. I mean, incredible, right?
Yeah, there were some long nights. I mean, sports, you leave after first quarter, then
Yeah.
it ends fairly quickly. You don't get to stay till the end of the game. There's no,
Yeah, exactly.
or you're missing a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
you have to shoot late night concerts at the
Hmm.
Troubadour or one of those venues where the act doesn't come out till midnight. I have to go
Yep.
back to the paper, and I don't get out of it till 3 a.m. after process
Sure.
captioning and you know
Yeah.
because they needed it by next morning. But you had to be there to process and
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
um,
remember that? Did you ever go to Dodger Town during spring training? Did you go there when I was there?
uh, only in Arizona, not
Oh,
Florida.
okay.
Yeah.
Because when I started in '84 at Dodgertown in Vero Beach, we had a dark room, and the Dodgers were the only major league team who actually had a full-time photographer during spring training, all
Mhm.
6 weeks, and developing and processing film and printing on site to give prints to the media who were covering the team. I mean, like the LA Times would not really send a photographer for the whole time, or
Mhm.
AP or UPI. They'd come through every once in a while. But we had that old like rotating
The
scan.
drum.
I don't even know what it was called, scanning machine. Uh,
Yeah.
that took 13 minutes to send a print to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at Dodger Stadium, we had a dark room there the whole time I was there. John Sue, who started with me in the dark room. So yeah, kind of talking a
Good
lot of
stories.
nostalgia.
Good
Um,
stories.
Crazy. So while you've won so many awards, I mean, I'm going to go through a couple. Best Sports Photographer of the Year twice, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know how many times you placed in that, but twice is pretty amazing. First place in the World Press Photo in 2020. That was for what
That
essay was that?
was the Paradise Fire.
Oh, the
Sorry,
Paradise Fire. That's right. And the team, the baseball team,
football team.
football team, right? The high school team. Yes, that's right.
We,
Amazing story.
yeah, 80% of the players have their houses burned down, but they're still there living in trailers. And
Yeah,
you have a football season. Part of the school still burned, but make a long story short, we followed them through the season, and they made it
yeah,
to the championship game. Unfortunately, they lost, but
yeah.
there's supposed to be a movie coming out about it. Bill Plaschke wrote a book about
Hmm.
it, so
Yeah, definitely should be a movie for sure. I got to read Bill's book. I didn't know he did a book about it
no,
with your photos, obviously. That's
it's
amazing.
amazing. His book is amazing.
Yeah, that was, I remember when that story came out and it was just so incredible. Um, I talked to Lori Shepler, with your wife Christina recently, on the podcast, and she was part of the LA Times Pulitzer Prize winning team that won three Pulitzers, actually. Were you part of those as well?
I think so.
Yeah. I think it was the wildfires, the riots, trying to be the Northridge earthquake,
I
I
think
think was one.
San Bernardino shooting. I
I
think.
don't think they won for that one. No.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that, yeah.
That was more the team. That wasn't the photo department. So
Right, right. But you're a colleague of Lori's, right? You guys overlapped before she retired, right?
yeah, we've been friends. We're still friends. I'm going to see her in a few weeks. So
Oh, she's the greatest. I mean,
yeah, she's
just unbelievable. I mean, as a photographer, not even saying a woman, I mean, as a photographer, the two of you are like one and one A. I mean, unbelievable. Um, so Wally, there isn't just one world-class photojournalist in your house.
yeah.
Your wife, Christina House, is a Pulitzer Prize winning staff photographer for the LA Times.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember when Christina started as an intern, and we'd see her, and she was very mild-mannered and kind of quiet and shy.
Mhm.
Um, hadn't seen her in a while. She's not mild-mannered and shy anymore. I just got to
I
tell
know. She broke down. It was the same thing when I came into the business. I was
you.
on
Right.
my high school yearbook. I was shy and I'd sneak around the corner and take pictures and just didn't know. And then
Yeah.
Daily Breeze and it kind of broke me out of my shell.
Right.
And
Right.
I see the same thing in her as I saw in me when we first started. It,
Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell me, I mean, just between you and me and the audience, is there was there or is there some little bit of friendly competition between the two of you? I mean, you're two really incredible, top of the line, world-class photojournalists. So there's got to be a little something, something, no?
no, not really.
Yeah.
Never really done assignments together. She does more picture stories and
Right.
features, and lately a lot of celebrity portraits.
Uh-huh.
I was more on the sports side and news, more
Yeah.
on the rush side.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so yeah, not really. I've always been supportive. I mean,
Sure. You
she'll
cheer
be
each other on, right?
she'll be editing at home, and I'll kind of peek around the corner because she's a little bit shy about showing me her photos.
Yeah.
Peek around the corner, she'll shut the computer, like I'm not done yet, and
I love it.
and then
Yeah.
done editing, then she'll show it to me. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there's times where I will give her pointers, and because I've been in the business longer, so.
Sure.
And yeah, it works great. I get her opinion on what photos that she likes of mine, and
Yeah.
it's a great feedback back and forth.
That's
So
wonderful. Somebody should do a book on the two of you, actually, and your greatest hits.
yeah,
Um, So tell me something about Naya. Tell me so. Is she like picked up a camera? I'm probably taking pictures with the iPhone or something. Like my daughter did at like 2 years old. But
Yeah.
is she showing a little hankering for photography at all?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, she knows the iPhone really well. She knows my wife's password to sign on. She knows how to take photos and video and all that stuff. And she's got three of her own cameras. They're little
Yeah,
shoots and more kid type cameras.
yeah.
Loves taking pictures. One's like a Polaroid, and we have neighbors who have kids across the street, and they play, and she's always taking pictures. So I'll teach her everything about photography, but maybe not get the business right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, though
Uh,
the business
uh,
is going to change. That's my last question for you. That what do you think the future of photojournalism is? I mean, first of all, there's going to come a day very soon where I'm not getting the Times in front of my, well, I don't get it anymore anyway, but I'm not going to be getting the newspaper in front of my doorstep anymore, right? That's just coming anytime soon.
yeah, the owner's trying to push the newsprint itself out. I
Yeah.
feel like he's doing a little bit too soon because we still
Hmm.
have older generation, the boomers,
Hmm.
that still like the physical paper,
Hmm. Yeah.
but they want to hurry up and go digital. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think circulation was over 1 million when I started. We're down to last I heard was 78,000.
Oh, that's crazy. In metropolitan Los Angeles, that's insane.
That's for print.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fibers, it's a little bit higher, but it's not where we used to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm the same way. I go on the website and you have to search for things, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm a little old school too. But
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. I love holding the physical paper, just like I love holding physical film in my hand, but it's those days
yeah.
are those days are over.
But,
Um,
but
and and and
as
the
far as, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and no, and the young photographers, the young photojournalists coming up, do you think, I don't want to generalize this too much, but the ones I've met do not really get the history of photojournalism like you and I did, W. Eugene Smith and Dorothea Lange and all the greats, and on the sports side, of course, John Zimmerman, Neil Leifer, Walter Yost. I mean, these are the masters of our craft.
Yeah.
And I guess they must look at them as like prehistoric, figures or something. I don't know.
I asked that question myself. Like, okay, when I was a kid, did I look at the photographers with a speed graphic as prehistoric? And in a way, but in a sense, like, God, you know what? They only had one frame to shoot
Crazy. Yeah.
perfectly. There's no, 10 frames per second or now I think it's up to 30, maybe more now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where just, hold the shutter down. It's autofocus. But Neil Leifer was my idol growing up. I have his book, and
Yeah, me too.
I'm interested in sports photography, and
Hmm.
it's just amazing because all of it was manual focus, film. Everything was just well planned out.
Yep.
These remotes and
Yeah.
spots where I never even imagined. I mean,
Yeah.
and I
No,
just
I wanted to be Neil. I
uh,
studied that magazine. I dissected it like it was like a lab experiment every month, every week, that would come. I finally met, excuse me. I finally met Neil when I was a young student, wrote to him, we didn't have email,
uh,
went to meet with him, and he's been my mentor at almost 50 years now. I mean, he's my friend, dear friend, but he's a mentor. I did the book with Kobe. He had worked so closely with Ali. They did many things, books together and projects. And I needed some guidance on how to, navigate all this. And he was great. He spent a lot of time with me and still does. Wonderful guy.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. He doesn't even know who I am, but I'm a huge fan of his, and even to this day, it's still
Yeah.
inspiring.
I will guarantee you that he knows who you are because he will recite when I talk to him. He knows everybody's work. And Neil still has this competitive edge to him as he's always had since day one. He was a kid,
Yeah.
um, and it's incredible. And the last thing I want to say, Wally, honestly, and this is coming from the heart. Kobe influenced so many people because his greatness, his real talent as a leader was that he was able to impart his greatness on others. Pau Gasol famously said when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame that he wouldn't be standing there making that speech if
Mhm.
Kobe hadn't pushed him to be greater than he even thought he could be. And all this to say that yourself, John McDonough, um, four or five other photographers that I was side by side with, you guys always made me want to be better. I wanted to, I'd see your pictures in the LA Times and say, how the hell did he get that? And I got to get that same shot next time. And John McDonough and I had this ongoing conversation because John used to always sit next to me for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
zillion games. And I would open the magazine. I swear to God, this happened. I can't tell you how many times. I'd open the magazine on the Tuesday when I'd get it in the mail, and I'd open up. There'd be a double truck from that Sunday's, conference final or final game, and I'd look at it, and I'd look at it, and then I'd call John and say, John, when the hell did that happen? I mean, seriously, I was sitting next to you. How did I not see that? So, you know, I think we all helped each other with our
No,
careers, right?
yeah, and vice versa. I mean, I looked at you. I mean, you have all these remotes, and before like hour before the game, you're like Kobe. You're in this tunnel and just focused, and like it's almost like you're going to go playing the game. It's
Yeah, yeah. A
uh,
lot of people perceive that as a kind of aloofness and arrogance. I don't care. I mean, I was locked in. As you know, the enemy of our business is distraction, right? If we're he's not going to dunk that again. They're not going to, hit that game-winning shot again. In your case, if it's a news assignment, whatever just happened. It's a moment in time. It's not a studio. You can't do it over, whatever. So if you're distracted, then you're not doing your job, in my opinion, right?
we're hired to record history. I mean, he
Right.
has incredible shots of Kobe. I mean, just classics that will never be seen again or
Mhm.
taken. And
Yeah.
also LeBron recently was last year. You got him from the floor remote. You got him up in midair, and it's just
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Yeah.
beautiful shot. I mean, that's just something it sticks with you forever.
Well, we could
Um,
compare notes for hours, my friend. But listen, here's the takeaway from this. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, Wally, really, for taking the time to sit down and
oh, my
chop it
pleasure.
up with me. But you and I need to exchange prints. You know the one I want, right? So, so you got to tell me which print you want, and we will get together over a beer and exchange them.
No, that definitely. I'll definitely. It's probably going to be Kobe, but let me think about it.
Whatever you want, my friend. But
Yeah.
listen, man, so great to see you. It's great to see you at Watch Me Sports Bar last week when Christina and Lori sat down. And I guess now that you and I have a little bit more time, maybe we could see each other actually socially. How great would that be?
Yeah, I would always see the games. We're both, focused, and I
Absolutely.
beat the game too. I didn't really talk. I was, kind of
Yeah.
in my own zone,
Yep.
and hopefully people don't think I was being rude or
No, you and I cut
just
from the
who I
same
am.
cloth.
Yeah.
And
So
even when you and I were on the road, covering Lakers playoffs or whatever, and I just, halfway through my career, I just stopped socializing, quite honestly. Stopped going out. I'd maybe have a beer or something after the game, maybe a lunch on an off day. But I just needed to be in my zone, honestly, and like in that mode because I just felt like that's what they're paying me to do. I don't know.
no, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Exact same.
All
So
right, buddy. Well, listen, give Naya a hug. I can't wait to meet her. I haven't met her yet. And
okay,
and your wife Christina, I adore her and her work is unbelievable. And thank you both for coming on, but I appreciate this, Wally.
I appreciate you having me, and love your podcast and what you're doing. It's so interesting to hear stories from the past and reminisce a little bit. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a subscriber. So
All right, cool, man. Tell all your friends, and I'll
I'll
see you soon for that print exchange.
okay, yeah, we'll be in contact soon.
All right, pal. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Well, huge thanks to my good friend and longtime colleague Wally Scally for chatting with me today on this episode. He is truly a legend of photography. Please, folks, check out his award-winning photography on his Instagram at Wally Scally. Big thanks to our presenting sponsor Fujifilm for helping to bring this episode to all of you. Please follow them on Instagram at FujifilmX_US. That's at FujifilmX_US. Thanks everyone for your continued support of the podcast and for tuning into this episode. Please tell all your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legends of Sport, and our Instagram at Legends of Sport. And my photography, of course, can be found on Instagram at ADB Photo Inc. Thanks as always to our producer Carlin Barker and our editors Sean Gosser and Addison Shao. So thanks again, everyone, for checking out this episode. We'll be back next week with another great episode on the Legends of Sport podcast presented by Fujifilm.